Do you think Trey Lance requested to be traded? I mean, here's why I say.
Okay.
From his perspective, if he said he wanted a chance to compete, presumably for the starting job, they're giving him a chance to compete for the backup job. If he wants a chance to start this year, he might need to get traded before the draft and not after it. Because once the draft happens, teams that want quarterbacks draft quarterbacks. So from his perspective, if the Niners aren't going to give him what he asked for, a chance to compete, trade me now. What do you think?
No, I don't think that. I mean, in theory, it makes sense. I just don't think that he's at the maturation, for lack of a better term, phase of his career where he would be able to ask for a trade yet. I don't necessarily see. To be honest with you, Grant, I don't know how shrewd or how Trey moves professionally when it comes to his career. He's been really quiet as far as us knowing what his true desires are, where he wants to be. And I think he's smart for doing that at this stage. I mean, we've seen that younger quarterbacks who kind of seem to be steering their own career, so to speak, this early, always seem to be steering it in the wrong direction. I think him explicitly asking for a trade kind of puts him in a certain era of that. I mean, it kind of puts him in a certain category is that you can't ask for a trade and still want to compete for any type of job on the team, right? If you ask for a trade, that means that I want to be gone, right? Not the backup, so with the opportunity to start, it would just be premature to put. There's only one bullet in that gun. You can't you can't take that back.
But look at it this way. It wouldn't necessarily be like Trey Lance storming into Kyle Shanahan's offense being like, God damn it, trade me. It would be like he's represented by CAA, which is very powerful. And his agents are Tom Condon and Jimmy Sexton. Those guys are very powerful. They have a lot of clients. It would just take one call from someone like that to John Lynch and say, hey, man, if you've decided that Trey Lance isn't going to get a chance to compete for the starting job, then why don't you do right by our client? And that's all you got to say, because the implication is if you don't, we're not going to do business with you anymore. And we have a lot of clients. I mean, things like that happen. That's why you have powerful agents. So that could be something here. Like
that's
very quiet and not like a demand, but like, hey, we heard what you said. And like, why don't you do right by us and give us a trade?
Now, all right. Now,
Trey would love to go to these 5 teams. How about that?
Okay. Now, if we're talking about the conversation coming from Trey's side,
yes,
I could see that happen.
Because it's in their interest, right? It's like, hey, man,
to get Trey out of there. And it's in the 49ers' interest not to bury a kid that is so strongly represented around the league. So, yes.
You don't want to alienate your relationship with CAA and Tom Condon, Jimmy Sexton.
And I started it out with maybe I misinterpreted what you asked me because
I don't think I asked it well.
In logic, yes, it makes sense for that request to come.
Self-interest,
But the context of it literally coming from Trey just seemed to be a bridge too far, right?
Can't happen.
But yes, we've talked about this. I think we talked about this a couple of shows ago. That if the Niners don't want Trey, the best thing to do for Trey is to move him because he hasn't done anything wrong, right? Trey's done what he's been asked of. He's studied hard. He's gotten hurt numerous times, and to be honest, I think it's time for the Niners to realize that maybe we necessarily didn't have the space for Trey to grow, right? And it for him and his team to want to get moved before the draft. I mean, if I'm in this camp, move me. But from the Niners' perspective, it would be absolutely crazy to move him because we don't know what Brock is. We got Sam. It just you don't have. I mean, this is weird, but the single point of failure of a football team is the quarterback, right? Well, if the quarterback goes, that's the only position where essentially the season can be in jeopardy, and we tout the fact that we have the cheapest and the most, cap friendly room. But as soon as we start losing bodies in there, there's only one person that can take snaps under center, and losing Trey, a viable option who actually knows the system. Just let's take away what we spent to get him, just for the team. Losing him, that's just another body that has to learn our system all over again. And then, honestly, the only quarterback who would be the veteran or the SME, the subject matter expert, if you will, would be Brock. Who's our come on, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Again, from Trey's perspective, it seems like it's absolutely in his interest to leave this team. I'm sure he feels he could be successful here. Sure, he feels he could do what Brock did, but he's not getting the opportunity. And they've made it pretty clear. Even Kyle said, like, it's going to be pretty tough for Trey to beat out Brock if he's healthy. So it seems like he needs to play this year. He can't afford to sit on the bench for another year. If he sits on the bench in 2023, I don't know that anyone in the league will look at him as a starting quarterback anymore. This is a critical year for Trey. This is it. Make or break year for his career. He needs to play. He needs to show something. Otherwise, he's going to be a career backup like Blaine Gabbert. So,
well, I'll say this. I don't necessarily buy into the 25-year quarterback. Those guys are so rare. The 15-plus-year quarterback. Really, what you're dealing with,
the franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Really, what you're dealing with 80% of the league is musical chairs anyway. You're trying to find a guy, or you got a guy that's young enough that you could think you could do it. And I feel like there's multiple pockets and situations in the league for a Trey Lance. I don't necessarily think. I think this thread, this narrative of it all working out, yes, this year would be the year, right, where Trey would have to get on. But just to piggyback on what we were talking about, where if we're so sure, let's just do it Kyle's way. If we're so sure that Brock is our guy after 8 games, then what can Trey do with 8 games or a whole season, right? Mm-hmm. We fell in love with him over 8 games, right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to see Trey for a whole season. If Trey can beat out Sam Darnold and make it to week 1, I'm gonna be honest with you, that Brock Purdy experience has an expiration date on it, because we're looking at real carbon data, right? So
yeah. And it's possible what the Niners are doing right now is they pretty much anointed him the starter last year. They didn't make him compete. I think some people on the team resented it, and maybe they're just saying, you know what, we're gonna make it hard for you this year, man. You gotta earn everything, every step of the way. And if you do, you'll earn the respect of your teammates. So, or maybe he's gone in 3 days. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, true. I mean, exactly. Yeah. We could be going through all of this, and the trade could be done already, right?
Yeah. Because real quick, John talks on Monday. My question is he going to be talking about the trade rumors or the trade? You know what I'm saying?
Or is he going to be pouring water on it altogether?
Could be. It could be very interesting, because it seemed like the way the Niners made it seem was like, hey, this didn't come from us. And we haven't changed our, we said at the owners' meetings that we would answer calls on anyone. That's all this is. We answer calls on anyone. That's pretty much their stance right now. But I don't know if I believe that. I guess we'll have to see if something changes in the next few days.
What's kind of crazy about that is that the Niners always choose to, when they really want to put out, red meat for the crowd, they always use national media. They always use the big guys when they want to get out a message, right? They don't even try to hide it. So It's almost kind of like they're clumsy. They overcompensate for the lie that they want to push, because it's
also
so
the
loud.
NFL Network isn't breaking stories that teams don't want to be broken. Like, it's not an investigative.
This is what they do.
No, like, they work for the league. They're there to make all the teams look good. So this is. I just assume if Ian Rappaport broke the story, it's because the Niners wanted him to break the story. Not because he got one over on
network.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because the minute Ian Rappaport breaks the story the Niners don't want broken, he's out, and they get someone. He has to work with the team.
You're not welcome on campus. Like, you can't be around.